Okay, this is just going to be a test broadcast of the uh, offline, actually a look in at the offline 1980 American League replay I'm doing with Inside Pitch, and doing this just to test a new camera angle, I guess. And it's set to private right now, so if I don't like it, we'll never see the light of day, and comments will be irrelevant. But I'm going to go ahead and play this game, see how it turns out. 4/13/1980, and again, Tigers at Royals. The Tigers lineup is Lou Whitaker leading off at second base, Kurt Gibson in center, Lynn Jones in right, Lance Parrish behind the plate, Tim Corcoran at first, John Walkenfuss the DH, Tom Brookins at third, Jim Lentine in left, and Mark Wagner will be the shortstop for the Tigers, as Alan Trammell, rostered but still on the bench, has yet to appear in this replay. And on the hill for the Tigers, with a record of 6-9, 3.98 ERA in 1980, Dave Rozema. For the homestanding Royals, that familiar lineup from the late 70s, early 80s, Willie Wilson leads off in center, Frank White at second, George Brett, aka Captain Pine Tar, at third, Hal McRae the DH, Willie Mays Aikens at first, Pete Lecoq, son of Hollywood Squares host Peter Marshall, will be in left field. And Jamie Quirk will catch, Clint Hurdle in right, and UL Washington, the shortstop. And on the mound for the Royals, Paul Splittorff, who had a record of 14-11 and a 4.15 ERA in 1980. So we are ready to go. Let's play ball. And again, hoping that this turns out good, and we'll use this format to stream live in the future, which I really wanted to. I just like recording better on my iPhone. I think the quality's better, but when I was using this setup in my game room, which is a little more open and kind of has an echo in there, it's a larger room. Didn't like the way the stream sounded, so we'll see how this one sounds. Hopefully good. So it will be on the channel later tonight. Let's get going. So Whitaker set to lead it off, and off Splittorff's card, it is going to be a potential range play. And it's going to be a ground ball down to Captain Pine Tar at third, and Brett is only a 3, and that's going to be a single. So Whitaker starts the game off with a base hit. Brett can't get to that. Obviously got stuck in his glove reaching for it. Brings up Kurt Gibson. And Gibson, I was living in Los Angeles when he played for the Dodgers. He was quickly became infamous down there for his hot temper. I'll have a story about him in the 7th inning stretch. So potential error on a ground ball, and it's going to be a pop fly, and it goes to third base. And underneath that is Captain Pine Tar himself. George Brett puts that away, 1 down. And we'll put Harping on the Pine Tar incident at this point. Going to be off of Lynn Jones' card, blank off Splittorff's. And that's going to be a Starline 6, and it'll be a fly ball into center field. Willie Wilson, he of fleet foot, pulls that one in easily. And 2 down, back to first goes Whitaker. And that brings up the hard-hitting Lance Parrish, the catcher. And that is going to be a blank. So Parrish, that is a split result into center field, and against the left-handed pitcher, a roll of 10 is going to be a triple, and that's going to bring home our first run of the game as Whitaker motors around, and Parrish lumbers into third base with the RBI triple. And he actually has a pretty good range for triples against lefties, which is surprising for a man of his stature. So runner on third, Tim Corcoran, playing first base today for the Tigers, steps up to the dish and going to Corcoran's card. And that's going to be a ground ball down to second base, and taking care of that on the candy hop is Frank White, 4-3 on the putout. Inning over, but the Tigers break on top 1-0 on the strength of the Lance Parrish triple, scoring sweet Lou Whitaker. And we head to the bottom of the inning. Willie Wilson set to lead it off against Rozema. And that is going to be a blank. So going to Wilson's card. And it's going to be a ground ball down to third base. And Tom Brookins, who is playing this game Pine Tar 3, makes the play. One down for Frank White. 6-4, possible K chance, and no, too high. White's going to put this one in play. And it's going to be a sharp line drive, hit to second base, and reaching up to spear that is Sweet Lou Whitaker, 2 down. And that brings up George Brett, our hero. Brett, of course, had a ridiculous 1980, hitting .390 with 24 home runs, 118 ribbies. And 4-4 is going to go off of Brett's card. And it is going to be against the right-hander. He drives that into the gap in right center field and motoring around to second, stand-up double as George Brett gets Kansas City's first hit of the day. So they're going to have a runner in scoring position, 2 down. And Rosma looking to get out of this, and that's a potential walk. And Hal McRae is -1 for this ballpark against the right-hander. Going to go off McRae's card. -4 to strikeouts in Royal Stadium, which is significantly high. And that's going to be a star line 3, ground ball down to third. And going the short way is Tom Brookins, and sides retired. So the Royals get a double, but can't make anything happen out of that as Brett stranded at second base, heading to the top of the second. And it is 1-0. Detroit in the lead. Splittorff to face Walkenfuss. And 3-4, that's a potential walk. And against the left-hander, Walkenfuss is excellent. He draws a base on balls, patient at bat, trots down to first base. Splittorff is a -1 hold rating, so Brookins not going to get the opportunity to steal. 4-2 off Splittorff's card, and that'll be blank. Would have been a strikeout chance against a lefty. And star line 4, and that's going to be a ground ball down to shortstop. And Splittorff, no adjustment there. That's second base for the Royals. In fact, both middle infielders have no pivot rating. So straight off Brookins' card, 2 or less, and doubled up. Not going to happen. Fielder's choice. So Walkenfuss erased 6-4, and on at first for the fielder's choice is Brookins, 1 down. And that brings up Jim Lentine. Lentine, 76 games, hit .251 for the Tigers in 1980. And that's going to be a potential home run chance, 9. And no, Lentine's going to put it in play, but it's not going long. Instead, that will be a ground ball back to Splittorff. And again, double play of 2 or less. No, another fielder's choice. So 1-6, Brookins is erased, and Lentine on a fielder's choice at first base. And that brings up shortstop Mark Wagner, who will soon lose his regular job to one Alan Trammell. And it's going to be a blank, would have been a tired single going to Wagner's card, and ground ball down to Brett. George takes care of that, and the Tigers get a walk, leave that runner stranded. We head to the bottom of the second inning. 1-0, Detroit in the lead, and Willie Mays Aikens. And Willie Mays, I got to see play when he was in the Angels system at Gil Dirks Field in Salt Lake City, and he hit some monstrous shots there playing in high altitude. 2-3, that's going to be a foul ball off a wild result. And that's going to be a potential walk for Aikens. And 16, no, Aikens going to get a swing at it. And 3, that's going to be a ground ball down to shortstop, UL Washington. I'm sorry. Mark Wagner, Washington shortstop for the Royals. Wagner picks that up and retires Aikens. Brings up Pete Lecoq. And 3-6, range play at the park. So the Tigers, they have fairly decent. Wagner's horrible at short. The rest of the infield is solid. 4s all the way around. And 3s in the corner outfield. Center fielder is a 2. So actually anybody but Wagner here is going to be good. And that is a Single +8 into center field. Coming in hard to take that is Kirk Gibson. Nice sliding catch and 2 down. And that brings up Jamie Quirk. Quirk, 276 hitter in 1980 and 2-1 going to the ballpark. And that's going to be the dreaded rare play. So 5-2, slow roller to first base who possibly bobbles it. And then possibly throws wild to first for the pitcher covering. So first base error rate for the Tigers. And that is going to be an 11 for Corcoran. No bueno there. And he boots it. So Quirk legs that out and is on at first base with the E3. Tigers' first error of the day. And that brings up Clint Hurdle. First and hopefully the last if you're a Detroit fan. And that's going to be a potential K-chance. 5, swing and a miss. Rosema elevates a fastball. Hurdle, no answer. And the Royals are retired. So we are through 2 innings. Tigers lead at 1-0. And back to the top of the order for sweet Lou Whitaker, who singled and scored his first time up. Splittorf gets signed, kicks, delivers, going to Whitaker's card. And 4s, that's going to be a line drive to shortstop, and leaping high to pull that in is UL Washington. Nice play out there. And 1 down. Kirk Gibson, the batter. 2-3, potential ground ball error. This came up last time too, and for Gibby, that's going to be a fly ball into right field, so no error check, 2 down. As a routine play out there for Clint Hurdle. Splittorf gets signed, kicks, delivers, range play at the park. Here we go, and 1-2, and that is going to complicate things with the rare play. Range result is a 2. We'll keep that in mind here. So rare play at the park, 4-5, slow roller to third base, who possibly bobbles to throw wild to first. So first we need to check, first we need to check range, and 2, Brett's going to get there. And arrow check now, and Brett is an 8, and he fields it successfully. Let's see how the throw is, and 2, throw is going to be in the dirt. So going to the first baseman now, we have to make a range play to see if there's a 1 or 2 base advance. And at first for the Royals with a range of 1 is Willie Aikens. So that's going to be an E5 and runner at second base. So what's going on there as Lynn Jones takes advantage of the wild throw by Brett to end up at second base. 2 down, runner in scoring position for the Tigers, and Lance Parrish, the batter. And 2-4, blanked Parrish's card. And Parrish drives that into left field, and going back to pull that in is Lecoq. Nice over-the-shoulder catch, and Tigers are retired. Leave 1 after the error by Brett, heading to the bottom of the third. Still 1-0, Detroit in the lead, and UL Washington set to hit. 2-3, that's going to be a range play. I'm sorry, that was a foul ball. Never mind. Foul ball off wild result. We'll re-roll that, and that's going to be a range play. For Washington's card, and that's going to be bad news for the Tigers. That's a fly ball into center field, and Gibson, the worst of the Tigers center fielder, he's not going to be able to get to that. And let's see if that is 1 or 2. It's going to be a single. So Washington leads off the third inning with a base hit. And Rosema -1, so 2 or less. No, Washington's going to stay put. No hit and run. I'm getting one thing I'm noticing. Like to see a few more stolen base attempts. I may do a house rule where I call stolen bases in certain situations going forward. We'll see how it goes. Still, I played like 17, 18 games of this replay so far, so still a small sample size. Rosema 5-2 is going to be a blank, going to Wilson's card. And that's going to be a single past the pitcher. And first to third result on that is, I should have got my chart where I could see it better. First to third on that, single one, and that's going to take a 4 or better, and that's not going to happen. But Wilson on, and Frank White holds up, or UL Washington, sorry, holds up at second base. Frank White, the batter. And here we go. Roseman, a little bit of a jam here. Possible walk, 13. No, going to White's card. And White, fly ball into right field, and that's going to be caught. And holding at second base will be Washington, one down. So Lynn Jones gets the ball back in, and that brings up George Brett. George Brett in a prime situation here to get a run home. So Rosema, going to be a blank, going to Brett's card. And Brett, that's going to be a split chance and into right field, 12 against the right-hander. And amazingly, that's going to be a fly out. So Brett thought he would, against left-hander, he is lethal. He has hits all the way up to 16, but not so against righties. So Hal McRae now 2 outs, looking to get the Royals on the board and tie the game. Rosema kicks delivers, possible wild result, and that's going to be a wild pitch, no bueno. As second base is now occupied by Wilson. UL Washington to third. Rosema gets the ball back. Base hit now, could bring in 2, and that's going to be a range play off McRae's card. And 6-4, that is going to be a star line 3, which is a ground ball to third base. And Brookins at third base is a 4. Nice play. Stretches out and makes it. Gets up, whips it across to first, and just nips McRae. So excellent stop out there. That saves 2 runs for sure. So Brookins, big play, and that gets the Tigers out of the inning with no damage. Royals leave 2, heading to the top of the 4th, 1-0. Detroit in the lead. And Tim Corcoran set to lead it off. And that's going to be a blank off Splittorf's card. And Corcoran, 3-4. That's a ground ball down to first base, and Aiken's going to take that himself. 3 unassisted on the putout, 1 down. Designated hitter John Walkenfuss, one of the coolest names in the game. And that's going to be a ground ball back to Splittorf. Gathers that in, whips it over to Willie Mays, and 2 quick outs for the Tigers here in the 4th. Tom Brookins, who extinguished the Royals' threat in the last inning with an excellent diving play on a scorching ground ball, set to hit and go into the ballpark. So Royal Stadium, that's going to be a fly ball into right field, and easy play out there for Clint Hurdle. So 3 up, 3 down go the Tigers. We're heading to the bottom of the 4th inning, 1-0. Detroit still in the lead as Willie May Aikens, 15 against both righties and lefties for home run opportunities. And 2-1, that's going to be a ballpark. So Royal Stadium, not extremely home run friendly. 5-2 is going to be a fly ball deep into right, but short of the track. Going back to pull that in is Lynn Jones, 1 down. And Pete Lecoq, the batter. And it's going to be a foul ball for Lecoq. All right, 5-3, and that's going to be a potential strikeout, and 7, and Lecoq. Nope, I'm going to put that in play. Again, very tough to get strikeouts here at Royal Stadium. That's a fly ball into left field. Routine play out there for Jim Lentine. So 2 outs for the Royals, and that brings up the catcher, Jamie Quirk. And Quirk, that's going to be off of his card. Quirk puts that in play. That's a star line 1, ground ball down to first base, and that's going to be a flip to the pitcher covering Rosema. So 1, 2, 3 go the Royals. And we are through 4 innings. A nice little pitcher's duel developing here. 1-0, Detroit in the lead. And Splittorff takes the hill for the 5th inning. Jim Lentine leads it off, and that is going to be a blank. Starline against the lefty, and Lentine against the lefty. That's a ground ball down to third base. Brett handles that. Fires across the diamond to Akins, and 1 down. Mark Wagner, the batter. And Wagner only hit .236 in 1980, and that's going to be a potential ground ball error. And 5 and a 3, and that is going to be a Starline 4, which is a ground ball down to shortstop. And I know I knocked that die. I didn't see what it was, so to be fair, I'll roll that again. So error rating UL Washington is a 10, so 50-50 chance, and Washington boots that. So E6, and Wagner's on. Back to the top of the order, a little bit sloppy. 3 total errors in the game now as sweet Lou Whitaker steps in. And here comes the pitch, and 2 and a 4. That's going to be a range play at the park. Or 2 and a 4 is a blank, sorry. 4-2. 6-2, and it's going to be a ground ball down to third by Whitaker. Whitaker double play is only a 1. And nope, that is going to be a fielder's choice. So Wagner's raced 5-4, and Whitaker on. 2 down now, and anything that happens for the Tigers is going to be unearned. Whitaker, an attempt of 1 for stolen bases, so he won't get a lead against Splittorff. And 6 is going to be a blank for Kirk Gibson. Gibson, lefty-lefty matchup, and he singles into right field. And with 2 outs, Whitaker is going to be a 4, and in right field, a +1 arm, making a 5. So 3 and +1 for the arm, +1 for 2 outs. And I'm going to go to the throw chart, see if he gets to third base. So 2 and a 1, and Whitaker does get to third base on the single. So 2 outs, runners at the corner. And that brings up Lynn Jones. And Jones only appeared in 30 games for the Tigers in 1980, has a chance to widen the lead. And potential throwing error. So Jones waits for his pitch and rips that down to second base. That's right at Frank White, though, and he flips it to UL Washington for the force, and side is retired. So the Tigers get a hit, leave a couple, and we are halfway through this one, and Detroit clings to a 1-0 lead as Clint Hurdle set to lead it off against Rosma. Foul ball off a potential wild result. And 5 and 6, that is going to be a walk opportunity, and 5 is going to be a base on ball. So Hurdle trots down to first base, and he doesn't even get a chance to steal. So Rose with a leadoff walk, which is never good, and blank going to UL Washington's card. And it's going to be a ground ball back to Rosema. Washington is a 2. Pivot will be the shortstop. So 2 or less, and no, that is actually going to be a fielder's choice. So Hurdle erased 1-6, and UL Washington fielder's choice. 2 or less, and he'll try and steal. Won't happen. It's back to the top of the order. Willie Wilson up. And Wilson looking to get the Royals back in the game. They've had opportunities. And 2-5 off of Wilson's card. Ground ball down to first base. And Wilson, extremely hard to double up. Take a 1 to do it. And that's actually going to get the runner at second base. So Washington there. And Wilson's going to be retired. And that will be a 3 unassisted. So runner at second base, 2 down. And Frank White up. White today, 0 for 2. Lined out and flown out to right field. And potential error on the ground ball. 4-2 pops him up, and that's into shallow left field, and drifting back to pull that in is Wagner, and side again retired. So Rosema has given up 3 hits, and that's the same amount as Splittorf, but he has not allowed a runner to cross the plate yet. We're through 5, 1-0 Detroit in the lead as Lance Parrish, the big catcher, set to lead it off for the Tigers here in the top of the 6th inning. And 4-5, that is going to be a potential walk, and Parrish gets 4 wide ones for Splittorf, trots down to first base. He actually could attempt a stolen base with a 1 here. Wow. No, and almost pickoff attempt, but he gets back. Tim Corcoran, the batter, lefty-lefty matchup, and it's going to be a star line result. And 1, that'll be a star line ground ball to second base. And Corcoran is a 2, and pivot for the Royals. Both 0, so 2 or less, and no. Only plays to first base, so Parrish chugs down to second, showing his elite speed again after that triple in the first, and Corcoran is erased. So 1 down, runner at second base, and that brings up John Walkenfuss, the DH. Deuce 6 going to Walkenfuss's card. The coolest names ever in baseball. And he drives that into left field and on a line drive, but right at Pete Lecoq, who makes the play, 2 down. And back to second goes Parrish. So Tom Brookins, who has a nice play in this game at third, and has reached on a fielder's choice back in the 2nd inning. And it's going to be a potential error on the ground ball again. So 4-3, and that's going to be a single past the shortstop. So at second base, Parrish is a 2. And would take a 3 or more to score. So runners at the corners now and 2 outs as Detroit looks to expand the lead. And it's going to be up to Jim Lentine playing left field today. Lentine waits for the pitch from Splittorf. And another potential error on a grounder. So Lentine, and that's going to be a split chance, but 20. Unfortunately, that is high. That'll be a fly ball to right field. And easy out there for Clint Hurdle. So the sides are tired as Tigers threaten again, but we're heading to the bottom of the 6th inning. They still cling to that 1-0 lead. And Rosma has to face George Brett to start the inning off. And Brett, possible K chance, and no. I'm not going to strike out Captain Pine Tar with only a 2 there against right-handers. So 5-3, and that's a ground ball down to first base. And fielding out at first base is Corcoran. Flips to Rosema, 1 down. 3-1 on the putout, and a big out for Rosema. Brett, 1 for 3 today with a double. And 3-5, potential K. Swing and a miss, McCray. Fooled badly by that breaking pitch, and that is the 2nd strikeout of the game for Rosema. And again, Royal Stadium, extremely hard place to get strikeouts, and part of that is due to the fact the Royals are very good contact hitters. 6-3, going to be a blank. Willie Mays Aikens. 6s, and that's a split chance, and 4 against the right-hander. He ropes that down the line, and that's going to be a double. Rattles around in the corner. Aikens coming in ahead of the throw. The obligatory slide to get the uniform dirty, and the Royals are in business. 2 down, runner at second base, Pete Lecoq, the batter. Deuce 3 and potential wild pitch. Rosema, not this time, thankfully. It'll be a foul ball. Rosema gets the ball back. And 5's possible walk. 7, yep, Lecoq trots down to first base. And his first time on today after flying out in his first 2 at-bats. Brings up Jamie Quirk, and Quirk, possible throwing error. And pops him up, and that's going to be into foul territory, and drifting over into first base near the dugout is Corcoran, and he pulls that in, and side is retired. So the Royals get a hit, leave a couple on, and they still can't crack Rosema. We are through 6 innings, 1-0 Tigers, holding on to a tight lead. And in terms of fatigue, as we get to this point of the game, Splittorf, he is a 26, so he will get to Lentine for the 3rd time. which actually has already happened. So he is going to be tired. And Rosma, 25. He's going to be tired too, as his would be the third time of facing Jamie Quirk. So both pitchers reached their fatigue points in that sixth inning. So we're going to get some bullpen action going. The Royals, Dan Quisenberry playing long toss, not throwing seriously yet, but Gary Christensen is. And for the Tigers, Dave Tobick and John Hiller, the lefty-righty combo, are warming up. So we will see. Both pitchers tired and playing it by the rules. They can be in the game fatigued, obviously, and the first time they give up a fatigued result, which would be walk tired K chance turns to a walk, the split chance, or the tired single right there, they have to be pulled. So we will ride them out until that happens. It's a very close game. That's another cool thing about this game. You can do that. A lot of games have adjustments. Duke likes that too, if you heard him in the background. A lot of games really likes it. A lot of games have adjustments where it's immediate, but in this case, it really works out good because they're in a tight game, pitcher's duel, and makes sense that they both be able to stay in. So top of the seventh inning, and Wagner up, Splittorf. Possible K chance, no, that's going to be put in play. And 6-2, that's going to be a fly ball into left field. So Hurdle takes care of that. Back to the top of the order for the Tigers. One down as Sweet Lou Whitaker. Going to look to give his team a little bit of insurance here. And lefty-lefty matchup. That's a K chance. And Whitaker, ballpark saved him. Otherwise, it would have been a strikeout. So 4-5 in Whitaker's card. And that is going to be a single into left field. So Whitaker on at first base, and again, not able to steal due to Splittorf's hold rating -1. Kurt Gibson, the batter. And 1-4, going to be a blank going to Gibson's card. 2-1, ground ball down to second base, and platoon matchup comes in handy for the Royals there. And again, Gibson is impossible to double up. So to get him doubled up, I'd have to look at his stats. Obviously, he was only doubled up maybe once or twice, so you'd have to have adjustments out there, but he's going to be thrown out at first base, and Whitaker gets to second on the roll of 6. So 2 down, and Lynn Jones, the batter. Again, a runner in scoring position for the Tigers. And that is going to be a possible home run chance. 18, no, as Lynn Jones doesn't hit home runs. He had 0 in 1980. Going to his card, ground ball down to Brett, and nice play by George. Whips it across, and side retired. So once again, the Tigers get a hit, but they cannot capitalize on a runner in scoring position. Heading to the 7th inning stretch, 1-0, Tigers in the lead. Now, my story about Kurt Gibson, I lived in L.A. when he was traded to the Dodgers, and in spring training, and I forget who, it might have been Jesse Orozco, who was famous for his pranks, but somebody put eye black on the bill of his cap, and he like literally exploded on the team, and he was kind of known as a hothead, but yeah, he made it be known that he didn't like pranks, and it's probably pretty funny seeing him scream with a big black rim of eye black around his balding forehead. But it's the kind of player he was. He took the game serious and definitely helped the Dodgers out, helped them to a world championship with that famous home run off of Dennis Eckersley when he was there. And I think that was actually the season he was picked up by the Dodgers too. So yeah, I just always remember that. One of the sports writers there, I think it was Jim Murray. That was the 80s. My memory isn't great from that time period. But yeah, Jim Murray kind of had fun with the story and had a host of nicknames for Gibson every time he mentioned him through the rest of that spring training, whether having to do with his temper. I think his favorite was Kurt Volcano Gibson. But Anyway, just a little tidbit of a remembrance I have of Gibson while I lived in Los Angeles and he was with the Dodgers. So, bottom of the seventh inning, Clint Hurdle, back to more serious business, looking to get the Royals on the scoreboard here. And it's going to be a blank. Blanks have actually paid off in Rosema's favor in this game as the Royals haven't taken advantage, and they won't again. It's going to be a ground ball down to second base. Easy play down there for Whitaker. So 4-3 on the putout, and ninth place hitter, UL Washington up. Washington, one for two, but he's reached base twice. 2-4, blank going to Washington's card. And it's going to be a fly ball into right field. So 2 quick outs as Rosema continues to plug along, working on a 4-hitter. Top of the order, the Fleet Willie Wilson up. And 5-3, K-Chance, that's not going to get Wilson. Although 11 is fairly high, but the ballpark adjustment negates that as Willie looks to get on base, slaps that down to Whitaker, and Whitaker, nice backhand play, whips it to Corcoran, and sides retired. 3 up, 3 down in the seventh. And you have 2 innings to go. Tight game, 1-0. Tigers in the lead as Lance Parrish steps up to face Splitor. And again, both pitchers fatigued, but in a tight duel, so they're going to stay in there till they have to come out or start giving up runs. And going to Whitaker's card, or Parrish's card, sorry. 2-4, and that's going to be a ground ball down to second base. Again, the lefty matchup hurts Parrish. So he's retired on the ground out to Frank White, and that brings up Tim Corcoran, playing first for the Tigers today. And Corcoran, and there we go, that tired result, 13 and -1. He avoids the walk and gets to stay in the game. So, yeah, 13 and the -1 makes the 12, so no walk. And going to Corcoran's card, and even worse though, Corcoran slashes that into the gap in right center, and that's going to be a double of the stand-up variety. So third double of the game between both teams. And 1 down, runner in scoring position for Walkenfuss. Splitor still on the mound. Going to Walkenfuss's card. Oh, crikey. And that's going to be a fly ball into center field. So Corcoran forced to hold at second. And 2 down. Let's see if Brookins can come through. A little 2-out magic for the visiting team. And going to be a blank going to Brookins' card. And Brookins, 5-3, star line 4. That's going to be a ground ball down to Washington at short. Whips it across to Akins, and side is retired. So another hit. 4th straight inning, the Tigers have gotten a hit, but they cannot produce any insurance runs. We're heading to the bottom of the 8th. Still 1-0. Detroit in the lead, and Frank White set to hit off a Rosema. And in the Tigers bullpen, Tobic has sat down, and Aurelio Lopez is up. Dan Quisenberry now throwing in the Royals bullpen a little more earnestly. So Rosema, 6 outs away from a complete game shutout, 5-6, and that is going to be a potential K, and reduction of 4-6, and gets him foul tipped and hung on to by Parrish. So Frank White strikes out to start the 8th inning. Number 3 for Rosema in this game. And that is going to be a potential throwing error. So George Brett and star line 2, that's a ground ball down to second base. And 20, that unfortunately will be a throwing error. So let's make a range check. And at first base for the Tigers, Corcoran is a 4, so he should get in front of that, and he does, holds Brett to a single base. But second error of the game for the Tigers. Royals also have 2. And that is a big out to let get away as Hal McRae steps in. And 6 is going to McRae's card. And it's going to be a fly ball into right field. So 2 down, and that error looms especially large now with the power hitting Willie Akins up. Rosema on his card has a home run against a lefty, home run chance on a roll of 1-4, and a potential home run on a roll of 3-2. So not overly bad, but, and what do you know, 3-2, 14 against the lefty, but no. Going to go to Akins' card. Rosema dodges a bullet there. And Aiken, star line 6. That's a fly ball into center field, and side is retired. So I almost spoke that into existence, but we're through 8 innings. Tigers lead this 1-0, and this game is coming down to an exciting, nail-biting finish. Splittorf, he's going to start the ninth. And again, both pitchers fatigued, but close battle, 1-0. 6 is going to be a blank. Going to Lentine's card, and that's going to be a ground ball down to short. Washington takes care of Lentine, and 1 out in the ninth. Mark Wagner, the batter. And 3s, we're going to the ballpark. A pitcher-friendly ballpark in Kansas City, except for this time, that's a single past the second baseman. So Wagner is on, and he's not going to get to steal top of the order. And I think that is going to be it for Mr. Splittorf. So he's going to exit 8 1/3 fine innings pitched. Gives up 7 hits, 1 run to this point. And I don't know if he had a single walk, 2. Yeah, 2 walks and no strikeouts for Splittorf. So he is done, and the quiz comes in. Dan Quisenberry. They'll try and keep this close and give the Royals a chance to walk it off in the ninth. Facing sweet Lou Whitaker, Quisenberry. 3-6 going to Whitaker's card. Hopefully this doesn't backfire for the Royals. And that's going to be a single into center field. So at first base, Wagner with a rating of 2, and -1 for center field arm is a 1. And going first to third is another, so he's going to stay there and doesn't even try and advance. But runners on first and second now as Kurt, the hothead, Kurt Gibson up. Quisenberry gets a sign, kicks deliver, is going to be a range play. And not going to be for the best. And it's a ground ball down to second base. And at second base, a 3 just misses that is Frank White. So that will be a single 4. And single 4 going second to home and coming in to score and also going to third, Whitaker. So the Tigers have added a little bit of insurance as the RBI single, and that run will be charged to Splittorf. So big hit by Kurt Gibson coming through in the clutch as he does. And that will close the books on Splittorf. So final 8 1/3 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 2 walks, and no strikeouts. And Lynn Jones, the batter, is Quisenberry. Cannot do his job. Infield halfway, looking for the double play. Lynn Jones. And 5-2 right-hander. And the ballpark takes away the strikeout from Quiz. And that's going to be a star line 4. So that's a ground ball down to third base. And Brett, Quisenberry is a -1. Jones is a 5. For God's sake, he must lumber. And 5, and Quisenberry takes him out of the double play. And that is going to get another run home. That play is huge. So 5-4, Gibson is erased. But an RBI fielder's choice for Jones, and you would have thought that would have been a money double play. But Splittorf, the -1 adjustment, another great feature of the game, the interactions, and that could potentially be costly if the Royals can get a couple. Could also be a moot point if Lance Parrish can put one into the seat. It's going to be a potential throwing error. And Parrish doubles, and he drives that off the wall in center field. And that is going to potentially bring another run home. Jones is a 2, and in center field for the Royals with a -1 arm. So 2 outs will negate that. So a 2 and first to home on a double into center. So 3 or less going to the throw chart. And that's going to come in to score. So Lynn Jones. And that inability to turn the double play looms extremely large now as Quisenberry charged with his second run allowed. And he's on the verge of getting pulled from this one. 1-2 going to Corcoran's card. And the Royals just fell apart. Turned out to be a terrible decision, and that's going to be a single past first base. So going first to third is Lance Parrish, and Quisenberry cannot get an out to save his life. And John Walkenfuss, the batter. Quisenberry, 33 saves in 1980, and he's putting this one into the fireplace. Comes back and redeems himself a little bit with a strikeout as Walkenfuss waves at a pitch on the outside corner, but the damage is done. The Tigers tack on 3 big runs on 5 hits here in the ninth, and we're heading to the bottom of the ninth. Suddenly 4-0, and that looks like an insurmountable lead the way Rosema has been pitching. We'll see if he can close the deal. Pete Lecoq to lead it off, and again, Rosema is tired, and he's going to have to be pulled. So I said that's the tired single result. So Rosema gave it a brilliant, pitched actually a brilliant game. And books are going to be closed on him after 8 innings. 5 hits and no runs to this point. And he has struck out 2, 3, struck out 3 and walked 2. So heck of a game by Rosema. Unfortunately, not going to get that complete game shutout due to the fact that he is fatigued. And Tigers are going to send in their closer, even with a 4-run lead. Well, you know what? Hiller was warm too. Let's put Hiller in there to try and close this out, the veteran left-hander. So Lecoq on at first base and not able to attempt to steal. Jamie Quirk, the batter, lefty-lefty matchup. And 3 is going to Quirk's card. And 4 and 5, ground ball down to second base, and Quirk is a 3. So 3 or less, and no. It's going to be a fielder's choice. So Lecoq is retired. And Quirk on at first base now. 1 down, Clint Hurdle, the batter. Hiller to end this game in style, and against the left-handy, the hander, that is a single past the pitcher. Handy and hander. And going first to third on the single past the pitcher requires a 4, so Quirk's going to have to hold at second base. So now that both starters out, their bullpen's kind of falling apart. Runners on first and second, 1 down, and Aurelio Lopez now is looking at a potential save. Here comes the pitch. And 4-1 going to UL Washington's card. I have to reevaluate my where I play, I guess. So 3-2 to Washington, and that is a star line. That's how I got ground ball down to third base. So Washington 2 for a double play. And no. So that's going to put runners at the corners, 2 down now. And top of the order, Willie Wilson. And Tigers still a comfortable 4-0 lead, but that'll change in a hurry if Wilson gets a hit. And Deuce's possible throwing error off the Hiller's card. And Willie Wilson ground ball down to second base, and that's going to be ball game, folks. Our routine play for Whitaker. Whips that over to Corcoran, sidearm style, and ball game is over. The Tigers hold on for the 4-0 win, despite the Royals threatening in the ninth. And again, Hiller will not get credit for the save there with a 4-run lead. And Rosema, still no earned runs. And Hiller gives up 1 hit and zeros in every other statistical category. So that is your ball game. Dave Rosema with the win, Splittorff with the loss, and final line score. Thanks mainly to that big ninth inning, the Tigers 4 runs, 11 hits, 2 errors, and the Royals no runs and 6 hits, also 2 errors. So well pitched ball game. Both starters did well. Splittorff kind of fell or fatigued at the end, and the Royals maybe made a mistake bringing Quisenberry in, as Quisenberry could not get anyone out. Gave up 3 big runs, or allowed 3 runs to come in the ninth. Maybe made a mistake bringing Quisenberry in, as Quisenberry could not get anyone out. Gave up 3 big runs, or allowed 3 runs to come in the ninth. Not fairly potent offense in 1980. So that's it. Player of the game in this one. It's got to be really no one offensively really stood out for the Tigers. So we got to go with Dave Rosma. Again, he went 8 innings pitched, gave up only 5 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and no runs. So outstanding pitch game, and that is the final game of this early season series between the Royals and the Tigers. So again, we'll see. This might not appear on the channel. We'll see how it works with this setup. It's just a setup I'm going to use if I have to do live recordings, which I would like to do. I wish this detachable webcam had a focus mechanism on it so I could zoom in more on the cards. And I might actually even get a boom to get a more direct or an overhead shot of the cards. Not sure how this will really translate to the channel looking at them sideways, so we'll see. So if you see this game on the channel, thank you for the support. Thanks for watching. And until next time, keep rolling for the fences. And no matter what game you play, just keep rolling. We'll see you.